Yesterday, the draft lottery went down and officially solidified the order in which the first 14 teams will be picking in the 2024 NBA draft, which means it's once again time for us to put out another mock draft to update things appropriately. We saw a surprise team snag the number 1 pick, we saw the Pistons once again get screwed, as is tradition at this point, and as a result of the shakeup, we have a lot to unpack. But before we start though, it turns out a good amount of you watching right now aren't even subscribed to the channel, so if you enjoy the content, consider hitting the subscribe button, as not only does it help out a ton, but it also very much appreciate it. With that being said now, let's begin. Starting with the first pick in the draft, the Atlanta Hawks select Alexandre Sarr from France. That's right, the Atlanta Hawks were the big winners of the night, shooting up 9 spots to steal the number 1 pick in the lottery, and with it they'll have plenty of options. This is shaping up to be the summer of a Hawks shift, where they may be breaking the band up a little bit, and by taking Alex Sarr, they're setting themselves up for a better future with a pillar in the middle to hold things down on the interior defensively. Sarr is an excellent athlete who finishes well around the basket, has much needed shot blocking instincts to be an enforcer, and his non-stop motor is always a good sign for a young talent. Clint Capella is getting up there in age and is on an expiring contract next season, so Sarr could easily step in as his replacement. Next, with the second pick, the Washington Wizards select Nikola Topic from Serbia. The Wizards need a lot of help everywhere at this point, but going into next season, they don't have a real point guard on the roster, since Tyus Jones is hitting free agency, so drafting Topic, who is arguably the best playmaker available here, makes the pick the best of both worlds for them. Topic is a smooth operating, primary ball handler with impressive playmaking instincts and passing talent, and he has the type of game where he stays composed and dominates by being under control and getting to his spots, and his game would absolutely flourish with better spacing in the NBA compared to the Adriatic League that he's playing in now. Next, with the third pick, the Houston Rockets select Zachary Rissache from France. Rissache is a big wing with knockdown three-point shooting potential, continually improving skills on the ball as a creator, and switchability on defense. That's always going to be a recipe for success for an NBA draft prospect to hear their name selected very early on draft night. He started the season shooting red hot from 3, but he did admittedly cool off a little bit since the end of January, so he has his ups and downs, but overall, scouts will see more positive than negative in his shooting stroke, and at 6'9", he's talented enough to plug and play into virtually any lineup. Up next, with the fourth pick, the San Antonio Spurs select Donovan Clingan from UConn. I'm going to be honest, I'm really into the idea of the Spurs pairing Clingan with Victor Wembanyama in their front court. Wembanyama is already a Defensive Player of the Year caliber guy as a rookie, but he can't make their team's defense elite by himself, and he's also more preferably a power forward, so slotting in the best defensive center in this draft next to him could form an unbelievably dominant defense for years to come. Clingan is a 7'2" player who uses his size and length masterfully around the basket, rotating perfectly, contesting without fouling, and blocking tons of shots. He and Wembanyama would be a terror for opposing teams trying to drive to the basket, and would give them much needed identity on the defensive end for the first time in a while. Next, with the fifth pick, the Detroit Pistons select Modest Buzelis from G League Ignite. It's a new year, but it's once again the same old story for Detroit, who fell out of the top 4 thanks to the draft lottery, but at number 5, taking Buzelis isn't all that bad by any means. The start of his G League campaign was a bit of a struggle, as he missed a decent chunk of the early season due to injury, and still looked hampered a bit after returning to the court early on, but in the second half of the season, he looked much better. He was scoring well, grabbing a ton of rebounds, and even blocking a lot of shots for a wing player. He's got the potential to be a jack-of-all-trades type of forward who can serve a lot of different roles well, and for a Pistons team in need of a lot of help everywhere, that will be welcomed. Up next, with the sixth pick, the Charlotte Hornets select Ron Holland from G League Ignite. Holland entered the year hoping to contend for the #1 pick in this year's draft, but his time in the G League exposed a lot more inconsistency in his game than scouts expected. He's still an unbelievably explosive athlete who finishes powerfully at the rim, and he also averaged about 20 points per game down in the G League this year, which is by no means bad, but he wasn't very efficient in doing so, and his three-point shot needs a lot of work. The saving grace for him in that regard is that he has a very good work ethic, and he always plays hard when he's on the court, so I am fully expecting him to kill it in the pre-draft workout process as he goes through to salvage his draft stock a little bit. Next, with the 7th pick, the Portland Trailblazers select Stephon Castle from UConn. Castle may not have been the star of the show during UConn's championship run this year, but he did play his role well, as anyone possibly could have asked him to, and his two-way play solidified him as a top 10 pick in the eyes of most scouts. He was oftentimes tasked with defending the opposing team's best player as a freshman, and he made their lives miserable doing so. He's also a smart cutter off the ball, he's a strong guard who does well around the rim. The only thing holding him back from his true ceiling is his unimpressive shooting splits from three. Next, with the 8th pick, the San Antonio Spurs select Rob Dillingham from Kentucky. The Spurs own a 2nd pick in the lottery this year thanks to the Raptors trading them their pick, and after taking Klingon to solidify things inside earlier, they would love to bring in arguably the best shot creator in the class with their 2nd pick. Dillingham's creativity, elite shot-making skills, and smooth ability to get wherever he wants off the dribble and play make for those around him is most obviously the translatable NBA talent that there is. Concerns with Dillingham, though, include the fact that he struggles mightily on the defensive end, but the Spurs are in desperate need of a playmaker to feed Wembanyama easy looks, and the pros easily outweigh the cons with him here. Up next, with the 9th pick, the Memphis Grizzlies select Dalton Knecht from Tennessee. Knecht had a great year scoring the basketball in college and proved he was a big-time scoring talent in March Madness when he averaged 26 points in the tournament, including a 37-point performance in their tight loss to Purdue in the Elite Eight. He might be the best pure scorer in the draft this year, with good size, strength, and athleticism on top of it, and for a Grizzlies team that ranked dead last offensively this season, he is something that they could use more of. Next, with the 10th pick, the Utah Jazz select Cody Williams from Colorado. Williams is an intriguing wing talent who has good size at 6'8", with a 7'1" wingspan, and his brother Jalen Williams is one of the league's young breakout stars on the Thunder this year. The Jazz have done well drafting over the last few years and are lacking in wing depth going into next season, so he fits a position of need, and his upside is as an efficient secondary scorer who can defend multiple positions. Up next, with the 11th pick, the Chicago Bulls select Reed Sheppard from Kentucky. Sheppard had such a great freshman season, but his worst game of the year happened to come in Kentucky's first-round loss in March Madness, which cooled some of the hype on him. The reality is that teams aren't going to overreact to one bad game, and he is still definitely lottery talent, and for a Bulls team in definite need of more talent at both guard positions, Sheppard's combo guard skill set is a fit as an incredibly efficient and smart scorer who more often than not makes the right decision without forcing things. Next, with the 12th pick, the Oklahoma City Thunder select Tijan Solon from France. Solon is a huge 6'9" wing with a promising three-point shot, a good motor, always playing hard, crashing the glass, and an impressive understanding of the defensive side of the ball. He's still a very raw talent, but the things that he does well are things that in today's NBA will always be coveted, and the Thunder have a proven track record of developing players just like this into effective members of their rotation. Next, with the 13th pick, the Sacramento Kings select Isaiah Collier from USC. Collier is another player that faded out of early #1 pick hype quickly because of early struggles this season, but he also finished the season on a tear, building himself back up as lottery talent. He's an aggressive point guard who attacks the rim with force and finishes very well at the basket using his strong body to absorb contact en route. He draws a lot of fouls, and he flat out makes plays. His weakness right now is the fact that he can get too out of control and turn the ball over way too much, but going to Sacramento to back up De'Aaron Fox early on would be a good landing spot for him. And finally, to round out the lottery with the 14th pick, the Portland Trail Blazers select Jacoby Walter from Baylor. The Blazers were another team with 2 lottery picks this year since they own the Warriors pick and would love to add more firepower with Walter's shot making. He's got the ability to take and make tough shots in big moments, but he's also not the most consistent shooter yet, so he projects more as a volume scorer that can occasionally catch fire and win you a game off the bench at the next level. And with that being said, that's all I have for you today. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment down below which prospect you are most excited about this year. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.